Just a little short one today, not me, the video, by the way, just in case. There was a secret football match yesterday, a secret squirrel football match. I don't know if you can call it a football match, actually. It was 60 minutes long. It was behind closed doors, invite only. So information on the ground is sketchy, really, really sketchy. But I think ex-West Ham United employee had his secret spies, his minions, Oompa Loompas there yesterday watching the game, 60 minutes of it. And it was West Ham United 5, Dagenham and Redbridge 0. 30 minutes each half, I guess. I think so. And apparently John Egan played half of the game. So he played 30 minutes in what is, by all intents and purposes, a trial game. We'll get to the John Egan stuff in a little bit. So, 5-0, 3 goals from Annie Dings, who decided not to go away in the transfer window, turned down, I think, numerous moves. One of them, as I understand it, to Southampton. West Ham were going to pay a bit of his wages. And to Burnley, both his former clubs, obviously. He rejected the chance to go there as well, drop down a division. We were going to pay even more of his wages. West Ham were really keen to get rid of him. But Danny Ings didn't want to go. He wanted to stay at West Ham. Now, I think part of it was said he wants to fight for his place. I'm not sure how much of that is true, because he must know that the club wanted to let him go. Now, the club would only have wanted to release him if they had have heard from Julen Lopetegui that Danny Ings isn't really going to feature for him. There's no way, if Danny Ings was one of Lopetegui's favourite players and he was going to feature all the time, Lopetegui would have said, no, just don't sell him. In the same way that he possibly did with Thomas Souček or any number of other players. Keep him. He would have said that, but he didn't. I don't think the club are going to undermine the manager that they've just brought in. Far from it. They're not going to support him with all those new players that have come in, then immediately undermine him by saying, oh, actually, we're going to get rid of him. My point being, Danny Ings probably wasn't told by Lopetegui that he's got a really good chance of breaking into the first team. So that whole thing of fight for his first team place, I don't think he's got one to fight for. That's not to say he won't get any appearances. Things can happen, injuries can happen. But at the moment, I suspect he's fourth choice. In whatever order you want, Fulkrug, Antonio, Jarrod Bowen. In the event of all of those getting injured, I would imagine he starts a match. Aside from that, I just don't think he starts. And it may well be that he looked to do something different. From what I've seen thus far, we've seen a little handful of games under Lopetegui. I'm not seeing a system that that a striker is massively important in any way. So certainly not one for Danny Ings. Particularly always those long balls coming in and all the rest of it. I don't really see much of the point. So I don't believe this thing about him fighting for his place. I think he just likes it. I think he likes it at West Ham. And do you know what? That's fine. It's his decision. We gave him the contract. We've got to honour it. That's absolutely fine. So anyway, he banged in 3 goals against Dagenham and Redbridge. Now that is someone who's saying, there you go, get me in the team. How much is good? This is where there's a contradiction, right? Are Danny Ings' 3 goals going to be enough to get him in the team? No. Right? So therefore, and what the reason would be, because it's not a competitive match, there's not that much, right? So therefore, if you take that into account, really, however John Egan may or may not have played should carry no weight either, because it's just not that important. You can tell I've got a bee in my bonnet about the John Egan stuff. I've got nothing against him at all. And as I mentioned the other day, I totally understand bringing someone like the pedigree of Hummels in. Egan, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. Just honestly, use Caelan Casey. But I discussed that the other day. I'm not going to go cover old ground on that one. But Egan played. I don't know. I couldn't tell you whether he was good, bad, or indifferent. Honestly, don't know. We'd need the ex-West Ham United employee Oompa Loompas to tell us that. Don't know. What I would suggest is, though, that it would have been a really, really good opportunity for some of the other fringe players. Unfortunately, Luis Guilherme wouldn't have been one of them. He would have been a prime candidate, absolute prime candidate for this game. But he was off with the Brazil, it wasn't under 21s, it was Brazil under 20s who had a fixture against Mexico. So almost anyone that was needed would have been Luis Guilherme playing on the wing and scoring a couple of goals. That would have been absolutely great. Would have been great for him, would have been great for the team. But somebody else did score a couple of goals, and it was It was Andy Irving. Andy Irving, the Iron Brute Iniesta, as Gio likes to call him. Swerving Irving. Another couple of goals. He scored against them when we played them in pre-season. In the, what was it, 1-0? It was a swerving goal. That was a really, really good goal, wasn't it? He scored there. He scored another two. As another player who's... It depends which newspaper you read on this one. Either West Ham have decided to keep him and reject Celtic's offer of a transfer deadline day move, or the player rejected it to fight for his place. Again, has he got a place? I don't know, but I would suspect there's a lot more currency to Irving playing well in this game than there is to Ings. Particularly given, look, I know they play slightly different positions, but the midfielders, Freddie Potts has been sent out on loan. Lewis Orford, by the way, Lewis Orford, I don't know why the club paraded his 5-year contract yesterday. Which was great. It's great news. Don't get me wrong, but it was weird. I don't know why it was yesterday. They must have taken the photos ages ago. Was obviously the contract was done 3 weeks ago, something like that. Anyway, no, look, that's really, really good news. The club have retained him, but I think it shows faith in Irving actually, and the fact that we've kept him on board. Whoever made that decision, and look, just maybe with James Ward-Prowse going, there is a chance for Irving to prove himself. I don't know. I don't think he's getting in the starting lineup. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon at all. But anyway, it was good. It was pleasing to hear that. That was for sure. Orford, funnily enough, has been as one of a couple of West Ham players been put forward for the Premier League 2 Player of the Month award, which I think is really good. Tell you what is telling. Mohammed Kudus. So Ghana played Angola in a African Cup of Nations qualifier. Angola won 1-0. But apparently Ghana, I didn't watch the game, but reading the reports, Ghana battered them. What is telling is that Mohammed Kudus played 90 minutes in the game and played centrally. Played in CAM, as the youngsters say. A number 10, as I would say. Better than number 2, isn't it? But yeah, so he played there. Quite interesting. Obviously, has nothing to do with West Ham, but I think it's just another little hint to Mr. Lopetegui. Right winger at West Ham, central midfielder, for his country, for Ghana. No, don't play left wing. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see if that has any bearing at all. I suspect it won't, but as I mentioned before, I think Lopetegui is going to find a way. He's got to find a way to get Mohammed Kudus more into the team. Anyway, I'm off now. Me and Gio are going to record a naked podcast for our Patreon, which we do every week over on Patreon. We're going to discuss non-football stuff. Got an interesting couple of gripes and moans. We're going to do that, and then we're going to record another couple of videos to stack over the next few days. It's international break, right? So got to fill the content up somehow. I'm missing it. I'm missing West Ham. I know I always say it, and you're thinking, oh, mate, stop repeating yourself. But you just get into the groove of the season, don't you? You just get into the rhythm of it. And particularly with a new manager. I want to see more West Ham. I want to see more Obi-Wan-Bissaka. I want to see more Max Kilman. I want to see more Somerville coming up the bench. I want to see what Carlos Soler. I want to see what he's like. I want to see West Ham. I want to see West Ham. At the moment, I want to see more Captain Bowen, but bloody international football. Anyway, look, I'll catch up with you tomorrow.